On that note, the program starts with Arthie Roberts, who is a very special person, not just because she's today beautifully dressed, but because she has the people, heart, hands, and head of organizations in her business. CEO of the Key Leadership Institute. She has many awards for her contribution to business. She has the JCI Training Partner of the Year Award in 2021, Influential Woman of the Year Award in 2020, Nation Builder of the Year Award in 2020 also, and is a strategic partner for the Cubimo entrepreneurial platform for the UN. So some of the lessons that she's learnt, and she has learnt many, is stepping up, adjusting, evolving, and demanding excellence in a personal relationship. This is key. I feel that the people aspect is so important, and as industrial technologists, we sometimes forget that there is a person on the other end of that piece of technology. And what she's proud about, my ability to achieve regardless of the current circumstances. So the topic that actually Arthie has is Paradoxical Leadership to Revolutionize Mindsets. It sounds a bit like Don Quixote, changing our attitude about challenges, reality and vision. So over to Arthie. Give her a round of applause, please.
So good morning and welcome to all you fabulous people. It's going to be another awesome morning to begin talking about paradoxical leadership. Now what's fascinating about this is I had no clue about it. So I chose something that's going to really stretch my mind, and I've been developing and researching everything that's going to make sense to us and where we're coming from and where we're heading as a community and as people. So I put together some stuff that I thought would be really incredible, and it really aligns with everything that was spoken about yesterday from all the various speakers. But the incredible part is that I'm talking about the human experience while we're automating, while we're developing and creating, and we're talking about 4IR, and we talk about all of the innovation, but we forget about the people aspect. Now, what I believe is the strength that we have got access to is the ability to challenge mindsets. Now, I know that yesterday everybody spoke about we need to change mindsets, but the thing is that in order to automate and in order to fast track the progress and the success of any company, we need to understand who we're developing all of this for and why. So when we're talking about the vision and mission and the purpose of every company, how inclusive are the businesses, including the voices of the people in the development phase? In order to have accountability and the ability for people to actually fast track their progress, there needs to be a buy-in of a very different level. So when we talk about changing the mindsets of the people who are consumers, who are developing the stuff and for what reason? So while there is a massive drive for innovation and for us to be able to change and adjust and transform, I loved all the words that came out yesterday. It's not about just transformation, it's strategy. And every company does need a strategy. But when you look at the makeup of who are they being inclusive of, there is a discrepancy. And that's a reality in our country. When you look at the makeup of the way people are either included or not included, it is, we look at our cultures, we look at the traditions of people, we look at LGBTQI, we look at people with disabilities, and they are not in the forefront of the people that are included. Now, why is that relevant to us? Because at the end of the day, you are looking for the skills and the opportunity that lies within the experiences and the ability for people to actually add value to what we are doing, where we're heading, and the vision of a company, and what is the purpose of all of this. Because when we innovate and we create, the end user needs to be in the receiving end of something that is meaningful. So when we talk about leadership, we talk about success. But there's more to it. There's significance. So as we have got this massive drive, we look at the social injustices in this world. Your automation has to drive something that is meaningful and that lasts. Now, I believe that we do not have to leave a legacy. I believe strongly that we live a legacy in this moment as we walk, breathe, talk, and interact with people. So the simplicity of it in terms of the human interaction, how do you make people feel when you are in their presence? I know that paradoxical leadership is talking about everything that is, think global, but act local. How much do we even understand our local people? Why haven't we included more people of other cultures, other backgrounds, and other genders in something that is as important as what we are doing here today? Because when you look at it, we have forgotten a lot of people along this journey. But then we talk about inclusive leadership, and we don't even realize, John Maxwell talks about these 5 levels of leadership. The first one is based on your title. How many people, and this came out quite a lot yesterday, how many people have got the ability to make a decision within their own company based on their leadership buying in to where they need to go? And that is a struggle. And as you sit over here and they talk about you need to be creative and you need to be curious and you need to have all of these amazing ideas, but who's listening? Do you have a voice? And at the end of the day, if you don't have a voice, what is the whole point of having conferences where we got all of this incredible information, we walk away, but when we get back to work, our decision makers don't even know that we exist. They will ask you, how is the conference? Brilliant. How is the networking? Excellent. What are you going to do about it? What is the call to action? Because I believe that we have too many motivational speakers and not enough implementers in this life. We all love the sound of our voices, but we don't enjoy the part that is action taking. And as a decision maker, an action taker is a lot more powerful. So while we explore paradoxical leadership and all these fascinating big words, the simplicity is how do we balance innovation for our automation, the digital experience with the human experience, because the human being is the person who develops the automation and all of the different incredible ideas to make this stuff a seamless experience for other human beings. So it's not about being afraid of where this is taking us or what we're going to lose in life in terms of jobs. We're having the wrong conversation. We need to understand that there are brilliant mindsets sitting in this room. We have not tapped into their potential because we are limited in our own thinking. And while we're looking to transform the digital age, we have forgotten to transform our own mindsets. And so when you look at it from a different point of view, it's not a woman who's standing here and talking to you, not a woman of Indian descent, not an Indian person. I'm just a human being who had different ideas, and I'm sharing it with you. And the way that you receive that information will look directly at your unconscious biases, your prejudices, your belief systems. What are you transforming? Because if we were open-minded, we'd have a lot more people here of all different cultures, all different backgrounds, regardless. We see the human being as a human experience. We are creating all of this incredible stuff for people. And with your automation, there's no discrepancy of who's going to be on the receiving end of it. But when you're doing all of this data checking and all of these systems that you're creating, who is this data for and why? You want to sell something, you want to create something, you want to develop something, you want to monetize it. At whose expense? Who's on the receiving end of it? Are you seeking success or significance? Will you live a legacy or leave a legacy? Because at the end of the day, it is dependent on you actually looking at all of the various aspects. Your outside activists are the people that actually step out of the box and say, there's bullying in our workplace. I cannot work with that department because they don't understand. We have interdepartmental issues. We have got level issues. We've got all of the different issues where people are saying, I don't have opportunity. Please listen to me. You see, the first level in terms of your title means that you are entitled to some level of respect. When you get to the level 5, and you understand that it is where people respect you because of what you bring into their lives and the way you draw out their experience, the expertise, the brilliance of them, then you get a very different level of respect. And that is where your openness and the mindsets begin. That's where transformation in a company begins. Because before you can automate anything, your people need to be feeling like they were honored, respected, loved, and valued as human beings. And if we can't do that and make people feel that way, what are we doing? And see, one of the things that stood out for me here from yesterday is that even as engineers and techies, they were the people that were forgotten for many years. You were just behind the scenes, the people that created and were never acknowledged. You were convenient. And now suddenly when all of these environments are opening up where we all need IT and development and software and we need hardware and we need to realign our entire business strategy, suddenly you're important. You're no longer convenient, but do you feel respected? Massive difference. That is a very different conversation and very few people can actually talk about it. When we're talking about articulating the two different poles that are competing at odds, it is not automation competing with the human experience, it's the balance that is needed because the one deserves the other. They both deserve each other, but the balance is in being inclusive. Now, when I was looking at the paradoxical leadership, I thought it was very fascinating. Socrates says, I know one thing, that I know nothing. It means that we've got to be continuously becoming lifelong learners. We've got to be continuously developing ourselves, creating. We've got to be innovative and we've got to have a curiosity. Now, if we are curious about the developments around the world, why aren't we curious about the people that are sitting right next to us? How many people have you interacted with that are different to you? Or are we looking for sameness, but then we want to evolve? We talk about evolution. I created with Jan a program called the ICE Leadership Program. The I is for intentional, the C is for compassion, and the E is for evolution. And there's 3 E's that drive that. The one is embrace your past because therein lies all of the lessons that you deserve to understand that built you. When you embrace the lessons of your past, it doesn't define you. Circumstances no longer define you. You look at all of the issues and the mistakes within a company and you see it as a gift of gratitude. It's a thing that allows you to learn and develop and create because you've accepted it in that form. And the way you're intentional in accepting things allows you to develop your mind on a very different level. And when you look at compassion, it's compassion for the human being and the human experience. But more than that, where are people battling? Where are they suffering? When we look at talent retention, we are looking at how we can retain talent of young people. Why don't you retain the amazing knowledge, wisdom, and expertise of the people who were part of your system long before they arrived, and then combine them and create a collaborative partnership on a different level where there's an exchange of knowledge and wisdom where they both grow together. See, that's the balance. Then you're no longer looking at how you can retain people. You're looking at how you can retain the knowledge and the wisdom and the expertise of people that are invaluable from both sides. So you look at young people and say, I want you to come up to me and have the ability to share with me your expertise and your innovative thinking. And here is why I believe that my experience is going to balance out yours. And we have open conversations. Now, it's no longer millennials versus boomers. We don't have all of the bullshit stories in our heads where we say it's because you're black, white, Indian, colored. It's because you're a man, because you're a woman. It's because you're LGBTQI or because you're a person with disability. You do not disown people and you don't throw people away. You embrace them. Therein lies compassion. And when it comes to evolution, the only way we can evolve as human beings is when we embrace the technology in a way that enhances the human experience at a very different level. And so then we understand when we look at all of these things and we say a high integrity politician. And I thought into that and I said, what is the best way to describe that? When you go into an organization, you were interviewed, which means that when you accepted that position to follow the leadership of whoever is leading, whoever's the CEO, whoever's the board of directors, whoever are the exco teams. You bought into their value system. Did you ever question if it resonates with your values? Or were you there because it was a job? It was a means to an end. It was a step in the door. your ability to now create experience that you desperately need? When did you step up for yourself and say, high integrity politicians, we allowed them into our lives. We did nothing about it. So us as couch politicians, looking at all of these different beautiful words fascinates me, because global-minded localist, how are we going to get SMEs in this country, realistically? How are we going to get SMEs to think globally if they do not have the infrastructure, the funds, ability, the availability of knowledge and skills development to upgrade themselves to think globally? Where are the support structures here? More fascinating speeches, but at the end of the day, when you approach the companies and say, I would like funding for this, I'm an entrepreneur, this is my journey, you will have to go through a string of things and BE ratings before you're even looked at. And here is the saddest part, is that this is not a country that is based on fairness, and that's the truth. It is not based on fairness. We get rid of people who've got expertise, and then we cannot understand that the people were not given the opportunity to grow. They weren't given the skills development or the ability to understand. Coming to conferences like this will build their skill sets. We didn't give people opportunities on both sides. We remove one culture to include another, and we kill an entire economy. Because our complacency is the problem. So when you're talking about leadership, there are so many various aspects. We bring this upon ourselves by not stepping up and questioning everything. You do not roll over and die and say to people, yes, I don't have one of those level 1s and level 3s. No, look at the experience of the people we're getting rid of. Talent retention. Why get rid of people who already have got years and years of experience and not develop the ability for them to partner? We talk about collaboration. Collaboration for who? Collaborating with somebody else's company? Collaborating with somebody else's skills, their skill sets that they have? Or a collaboration of the minds that allows us to challenge the status quo on a very different level? We need to be challenging everything. Complacency has got no space in our country. And when you look at profit for purpose, we have got the MESA acronym. Mindset that is measured, evolution through engagement, solution-focused while serving, and action takers who are accountable. When is the last time we held our leaders accountable? When is the last time we held ourselves accountable for what we allow in our lives? When did we hold ourselves accountable? While we're talking about responsibility and we're talking about everybody who needs to actually be engaging with each other, why do we need diversity and inclusion in this country? Because people still don't like each other. And that's a fact. So I will give you a sentence that resonates strongly with me. I strongly believe, and this is my personal belief, that you do not have to like every single person you interact with. Give yourself full permission. You do not have to like every single human being you interact with, because as a human being, you never will like everybody. There'll be something about the energy, something that's off about them that you don't like, and that's good, because then you trust your intuition. But here's the completion to that sentence. Give yourself full permission that you do not have to like every person you interact with. However, your ability to show respect and be respectful is a direct reflection of your character and dignity as a human being. It is your ability to show respect and be respectful, which is a direct reflection of your character and dignity as a human being. How will we evolve? How will we change mindsets? How are we going to transform strategies in a company if your voice is not heard? There are injustices in this world. And the day that you have got the courage to take back your voice is the day that your company will evolve. Because an evolved company understands that there is a brilliance that comes from different people's experiences, from their backgrounds and their upbringing. There's solutions that are sitting there. There's something called mhlangano. And when I was working in rural areas, I sat with a lot of the Nkosis. And what was stunning about that is that as a leader of the community, they would ask a question and then shut up. How many CEOs do that in a boardroom? Or do they like the sounds of their voices? You will do because I told you to. I expect these results because. How many times have they sat down and said, this is the question. How do we resolve this? What is the strategy? And then kept quiet long enough to actually listen to the voices of the people saying, have you thought of it from this point of view? Have you thought about it from there? How do you feel about this? And listen to people, because they will come up with different solutions. The day you get to the point where you can entice the voice of every single human being in that room is the day that you become an inclusive leader that deserves to be respected at a very different level. Because that is inclusive leadership. There's umuntu kufunda azafe. You learn until you die. You are never limited by your circumstances or where you grew up or who you've been with. And that is why I believe that what you don't understand, you reject. And when you look at that statement alone, you look at your own mindset and you look at everything you need to transform, where you need to grow, where you need to develop, what you need to do differently. And in order to create all of these different steps, you need your people, you need the trust of your people, you need the respect of the people, you need to honor people. And that is why I say at the level of respect, all people are equal. And my parting statement to you would be simply this. It is when you understand that you are valued for who you are, stop apologizing for being a man or a woman, your sexual orientation, where you come from, your beliefs, and what made you special. Stop apologizing. This country needs to stop dumbing down people to the stupidity of black, white, Indian, and colored. They need to understand that there's a lot more sitting here in terms of experience, knowledge, and wisdom that we have not touched upon because we haven't respected people enough to have meaningful conversations. So I'm going to ask you, intentionally seek out the knowledge of other people. Use compassion to guide you, and understand that in order to evolve as human beings, you don't have to like everybody, but your ability to show respect speaks volumes about your character as a human being. Thank you.